Oh my gorgeous Libra, someone is going to really influence you so much at the beginning of this week. There is this one specific person who is not only going to inspire you, but that particular person is also going to influence you, especially when it comes to you understanding that there is a very, very specific adjustment that you need to make. And when it comes to that particular adjustment, this is going to be so important when it comes to things becoming so much more practical for you after this moment, after this point in time. And you know that you are going to be thinking how you're going to make this adjustment. And I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to run into some kind of difficulties, and you're going to kind of be put off a little bit, and you're just simply going to think, oh well, now it's not the right time. And then something is going to happen. Then something really interesting is going to happen, and it's going to come in the form of you like really having this very interesting realization. So you needed to get to this point where you just thought, oh, it's all lost, oh, it's not the right time. And then you just realized, you know what, that balance in itself, that balance, you know, in itself, like created this point in your life where you just kind of realized, you know what, I'm going to actually do this. But it's more about this important realization which you are going to have. And this important realization which you are going to, very interesting and important, both interesting and important realization that you're going to have is going to come in form of a passion, in form of like how much you want to commit yourself to this, how much you want to commit yourself to this. And now suddenly this is actually going to surprise you, but it's happening because you are really doing something more important than you can possibly imagine. So when it comes to that adjustment, this is so such a powerful moment in time when it comes to things in your life that are going to become so much more practical. And this in itself is just leading towards you, you know, moving on from things that are frequently holding you down. Okay, so this is why this is so important, because you're moving away from things that are frequently holding you down and that are preventing you to do things that you really want to do in terms of your development. This is more important than you can possibly imagine, because on one hand, I'm talking about this really interesting realization that, you know, how much do you feel like you want to commit to this? But then at the same time, this is happening because on one hand, you are, as I said, doing something really wise, because later on, you know, everything is going to become so much more practical for you purely because you are removing yourself from the part of your life where you have found yourself being frequently too restrained. And this in itself is going to bring such a beautiful and nice and fresh inspiration to you. It's bringing such a powerful enthusiasm, and also there is something going to be on your mind. How much do you want to explore something, like, oh my God? And this in itself, it's like really pretty much so going to be the part of your brand new direction in life. This is so brilliant. But this in itself, it's not going to seem as a brand new direction in your life just yet, but in like about 2 months after this moment in time, you are going to find yourself on probably one of the biggest crossroads of your life. Because what's happening right now, and it's not only about you finding yourself on the biggest crossroads of your life, you are going to go for the path that you wouldn't go if you're thinking about it right now. If you're thinking about it right now, and if you try to imagine this crossroads in 2 months time, you would just in your mind go for the path number 1, but by then you are actually going to go for the path number 2, and that's absolutely brilliant, because you're going to break through something really bad and really negative, something that was holding you down for way too long. So this is why things are going to start unfolding for you, and that in itself, it's going to reflect on you seeing things in a different light, reflecting on things in a different way, purely because you're growing and evolving. And now now you're actually allowing this to happen. I'm not saying that you didn't allow for this to happen before, but I'm just saying that you came out of something very, very difficult that was a kind of holding you down. So not only this is going to be the part of the brand new direction in exactly 2 months, it's not going to be as obvious now, but what you need to do now is just like, why you're going to have such a great sense of like you wanting to explore something, and almost as if you are going to have like the great sense of urgency. You know, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to understand. You need to plunge in as much as you can. And it's not only that, it's about you acting now. It's about you acting now. By acting now, you are going to be in the flow. By being in the flow, you are going to accelerate things, and you're going to start developing much faster indeed. By the time you get to the mid part of this week, my gorgeous Libra, you know, it's like basically you are gonna find yourself like pretty much so being extremely creative about some kind of responsibility that would normally put you off, that normally you don't even like thinking about, normally that you find this extremely boring, some kind of responsibility. And this is where you're gonna surprise yourself, like, my God, where is that coming from? Like, I can't believe how much I'm enjoying this. And then you're gonna realize, like, oh my God, like, not only that you changed your mind, you know, about this responsibility that you're so creative about, but this is gonna be a sign and indication that you are actually not that long after that moment in time, not related to this, but not that long after that moment in time, at around the midweek, you are literally gonna decide to go somewhere. And where you're gonna decide to go to, let's say after that you're going to decide to go to the gym, let's say to the gym, for example, and then suddenly something really bizarre and really strange is going to happen. You're going to have a very kind of powerful urge to go somewhere else, like a midway. So you're going to plan to go to the gym, or you're going to plan to go to the shop, you're going to plan to go to the cinema, and something is going to happen midway, and suddenly you're going to be drawn to like going somewhere else. You're going to be drawn to going somewhere else. And this is a big, massive, spontaneous mama. This is where big, massive, spontaneous mama, it's about to come in, and it's about to step in. And once such a big mama step in, everything is gonna shake like there is no tomorrow. And once it starts shaking, it's like, oh my God. No, it's important when you kind of like, not necessarily when you change your mind about going somewhere else and you end up going somewhere completely different, there is an experience that you are going to have. And this experience that you are going to have, it's really kind of going to be like a mini adventure, like a great mini adventure that is going to happen to you in such a spontaneous way. And when that mini adventure happens, you know, you are going to feel the happiness and enthusiasm, and you are also like kind of going to realize, you know, something new here, some kind of initiative. And that in itself, it's almost like going to create this like obsession, but a really good obsession about something. And this in itself, it's also going to strongly indicate the path that you should be actually following as well. You must not ignore this whatsoever, because this in itself is going to be way more deeper, and it's going to be on the way for you to discover an absolutely fantastic talent about yourself, like an amazing talent you are going to discover because of this. So you just have to keep going. And what inspired you, for the love of God, when it comes to that mini adventure, this is like, this couldn't have happened at a better time of your life, my gorgeous Libra, because it's all on the path where you are returning to yourself. You're coming back home to yourself. I know I keep on talking about this so much, but you've been through a lot. Purely because you've been through so much within the last 2 or 3 years, you know, sometimes we don't move on with the world as fast enough, you know, it kind of slows us down until we understand and until we realize things from a slightly different angle, you know, and this is all what we need in order to prove to our spirit that we understand, we are able to elevate, and we are able to look at the specific situation in a different light. This is going to be obvious to you because at around the end of this week, you know, there there is some kind of dream. There is some kind of dream that you are going to have, and it's almost like not like a dream, like it's rather than a nightmare, like a bit nightmare-ish at around the end of the week, and you're going to be reminded of something that happened to you a long time ago, and you're going to be like, oh my god, I almost forgot about this, I almost forgot about this, and now suddenly you're going to realize that this has been with you all this time. But the reason why you had a little bit of a nightmare, just to kind of remind yourself of that bad stage of your life, for example, it's only because now you need to be reminded of that in order to understand that karmically has come to an end. And this is also going to be a glimpse that was something that was holding you back, and it was also making you tired ever so often. Your energy would be really drained, and this is because this was stuck at the back of your subconscious mind. And as the time went by, slowly but surely you were coming out of it. So now these are the last stages indeed. This, it's going to be followed, my gorgeous Libra, at around the end of the week. It's somebody who's very an important in your life, one particular person who is really consistent in your life, whether this is a family member, whether this is a great friend, but somebody who you really trust, somebody who you really know, somebody who knows you really well, and somebody who tells you news every now and then. That particular person who's quite consistent in your life, it's actually going to give you some kind of news here, and the news that you are going to have, you're going to absolutely love this. This is going to be an important news, and this in itself, it's also almost like as you will want to celebrate how happy you're actually going to be, how happy you're gonna feel. And that in itself, it's also going to make you, this news that you are going, important news that you are going to have, it's going to give you a reason for celebration, and it's also going to make you it's going to give you a reason for celebration purely because now, because of that news, you are going to feel so courageous. You're going to feel so courageous, and this is what that news is going to do to you. As soon as you become aware of this news, you will want to celebrate how courageous you are going to feel. But this in it, you will so want to make some kind of a really brave step, a really brave move. Because of this news, it looks like that you're gonna have absolutely enough of some kind of a weight, or you're gonna have enough. Have absolutely enough of waiting for something specific. So this information is gonna be brilliant, but it's going to really pretty much put you in a mode of being indecisive. Why? Because all this is actually going to happen like a sudden change. When you find yourself a little bit indecisive, when things happen suddenly, this is absolutely normal, but you need to understand that you've already crossed the line, where is a really thin line in between responding to it intuitively or crossing over the line and finding yourself in an unnecessary you just kind of start doubting yourself, and you become really indecisive because you tend to overthink. As soon as you cross that line, as soon as you kind of ignore what your intuition is telling you, well, not ignore necessarily, but as soon as you cross that line, you find yourself being really indecisive because you tend to kind of overthink, almost as if you don't trust yourself. But this is normal, so you just don't want to cross that line. So you have to go with your intuition, with your first initial feeling, with your first initial thought. So this is to do with the sudden change. So when you find yourself indecisive, my gorgeous Libra, just think about two things. You need to think about your great skill. What do you want to do? What would you like to do? How do you want to express yourself? It's a lot to do with the great skill. This is what you need to focus on when it comes to you finding yourself indecisive. You need to focus on your great skill, and also on another hand, you also need to focus on your spirituality. You need to focus on your happiness. You need to focus on your quality of life. You need to focus on what you are persistently keep putting on a side, and not doing anything about it. This is so important. Now it's time to focus on this. Okay, so this week is going to be very interesting, and I can tell you, it's there are so many things that are actually going to happening one after another, and for each thing that happens, I just suggest you to follow your intuition immediately, and please do pay attention to into signs and synchronicities, because they are gonna be like absolutely everywhere. Okay, my gorgeous Libra, thank you ever so much for watching my videos. I'm sending you brightest blessings, lots of love, healing, peace and light to every single one of you. Sasha Bonasin, psychic medium. Love you. Bye.